Hi everybody, I'm Dave. This is Chicago Nerf. And today, we're going to be taking a look at our friend, the Rival Knockout. Alright everybody, so today what we're going to be doing is taking the Nerf Rival Knockout and we're going to be converting it into one of these guys to shoot half-length darts. The way we're going to be doing that is using the AK Blaster Mods conversion kit. I really like the kit. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of this, makes it super simple to do. Breech is pre-cut, so it's just phenomenal. That being said, there are a number of ways you can attack this project using homemade methods. The world is your oyster, so however you want to go about this, use your favorite methods and go that way. If you want to go about the conversion kit method from AK, follow this mod guide because that's what we're going to be going through step by step. Little things you can note about the conversion kit: there's basically two different options to it. There's the spring upgrade kit, or you can keep the stock spring. This guy's a stock spring option, this guy's an upgrade kit. Basic differences: this guy's coming in around the 150s. This guy topped out at 168 on the chrono at the last war we had before everything started. So yeah, there's definitely a power increase there, but is it worth it? That's up to you guys, and you'll see the extra steps that we got to go into to make that happen. That being said, let's go over all the tools and parts that we're going to be using and see what we need to get into. Alright, so we're out here on the range, so to speak, just doing a little beforehand testing on the Nerf Rival so we can see where it compares to after we're all done. Way off in the distance down there, we've got the fire hydrant. Don't know if you guys can clearly make that out or not. It's about 45 yards away from where we're at right now. So let's fire some rounds down there and see where we're at. I've only got 4 Rival rounds with me, so that's what it's going to be, and bear with me on this, guys. So in traditional Rival fashion, curving off at the end there, right around about 40 feet or so is where they all kind of landed. So that's where we're at right now, and let's see where we're at after we get this thing all converted. All right, let's go over everything we're going to be needing to make this conversion happen today. We've got the knockout itself, got some safety glasses, which are always a great idea. We've got the kit from AK Blaster Mods. We do have the spring upgrade, so keep that in mind. There's going to be a couple extra steps involved in there. The brass on brass, the caps, and the silicone that they provide, which is a little nice treat that they do as well. Tools we're going to be using today: got some hand files, we've got some flush cutters, and the X-Acto knife. Essentially, those are for the same thing, to fully extend the barrel to allow the half-length darts to actually fit in. We've got the sanding block. We do have the Dremel out. Don't know if we're going to need to use it or not. You 100% do not need to, but I'll get into why I have that there a little bit later. And then some people are going to disagree with me on this, but I always like to have some super glue around. I like to get things in place once I get them there. So let's get into this and see where it takes us. All right, so let's start by opening this guy up. There we go. Just gently put that piece back. Now we got the internals to take a look at. And what we are interested in is the plunger assembly right here, because the first thing we're going to be doing is changing out the spring, and that's pretty much the biggest part that we're going to get after. So let's take a look in some things we can remove right away. We're going to take out the safety lock, set that aside. Just going to quickly cut in here and voice over. That piece is very necessary. What I'm saying is totally wrong, so keep that piece. Anyway, we're going to take that out, and this is what we want to get our hands on. Just gently put that little stop back. The AR we're definitely going to take out of there. Some of them you can just kind of pry out with your hands. Other ones you do have to Dremel out. Looks like we're going to need to get some pliers and rip this out. So let's take a look at that. And this is what we're ripping out right here, this AR assembly. And if you look in there, you can see all three pieces. We want this to be a clear hole straight into the plunger tube. So let's take a look at getting that out, and I'll be right back. All right, so we've got our needle nose pliers. We're just going to get in there and start pulling. And you might want to use your flush cutters in here as well to get out some of the burrs. And then lastly, you're going to go in there with your X-Acto knife and really clean everything else out. Do be careful when you're doing this. And make sure to have a fresh blade, as it will make a difference as how smoothly it's going to cut out all these burrs for you. All right, looks like we are doing pretty good. And that's pretty much what it should look like in there. Just a hollow core. I'm just cleaning up some small bits here. Okay, your AR is removed. Now, the biggest issue with changing out the spring is accessing it. And there's really only one way to do that, which is with getting around these clips. The easiest way that I've done that is with using a flathead screwdriver and just kind of shimming it in. That being said, I've heard people cracking these really easily. So just kind of be super gentle when you're doing this. You really just want to get in there and release the pins. And that's it. So this one came apart super easy. Boom, we're in. Now, the next bit, as far as changing out the spring goes, is accessing the spring again. It's not worth undoing these springs because the plunger rod has got an anchor on the bottom there to sink it into the bottom half of the plunger tube here. So not worth it there. The only way you can really access it is through the top, and you have to pull back the plunger head stop here, the rubber around there, and then you're going to have to drill a hole. So the only tool that I didn't tell you guys about in the parts list is the drill, which we are going to need to use. So pretty much you're just getting in there, lining it up, and here we go. That's it. Just one hole. And you just need it big enough to get a screwdriver in there. And the way that you access the screw head is by just simply pushing down. You're going to lock it in and secure it. If I can find it again. There we go. And be careful because this is under pressure, so this will blow out if you are not being careful. There we go. And now we have access to the spring. Got our spring screw in here as well. And this is a pretty unique spring for Nerf. Or screw rather for Nerf, in that let's see if I can get it to drop out there. It's got sort of a built-in washer head on there. And that's what keeps all the retention. So when you're screwing this back in, it is going to feel a little loose and wobbly, but that's the way it is, folks. Just keep that in mind. It can come out, so do keep track of it, but that's kind of what you want it to look like when it's hanging in there. So let's get this aside now that we've got all of our parts disassembled. I'm going to move this for the time being. And let's take a look at the AK kit and what all comes with it. So let's get into that. All right, so let's go over what comes in the kit from AK. I love that they put it in a worker box. I think that's hysterical. They do brand it themselves, though. So what we've got is the two basically 3D printed parts that are in here, and these are the holders for the barrels, the brass barrels in there, and they basically size up from the plastic Nerf, and then it'll perfectly fit down to the brass. We do have the replacement spring, and then we have the brass tubes, which are wonderfully pre-cut with the breech in there. It's great. I have off camera sanded these down, which you'll see a little clip in there sometime right around now. And then I went ahead and polished them up with a little bit of WD-40. The only other thing that I will say is that the kit does seem to catch a little bit, because when they do cut these, the brass opens up. That's just from the cutting. The way to do that is just kind of really give it a little bit of push and flex it. I've done that on my own off camera as well, and it really kind of slides much easier now, especially with a little bit of extra WD-40 in there. So there is the brass barrels with the breech. We've got the 3D printed parts. The other things that come with it, when you order the spring upgrade, you are going to get extra silicone to replace the lube that's all over the stock parts. And then you also get the spring upgrade, the return spring, for the barrel on the knockout itself, which is awesome. But it really only works if you modify the brass on brass the way that I did. So that's pretty much the kit from AK. First thing that we're going to do now is swap out the stock spring, reattach the plunger head, and then we're going to install the 3D printed parts in both the plunger assembly and in the barrel, and we'll go from there. All right. All right, so the next step is actually going to be swapping out the spring itself. So let's do that. To disregard the old spring. Pull out the very stout one from AK. Get a laugh of that from everybody. Set that back there. Anyway, I'm going to insert the spring. I'm going to make sure that our screw head is in place. All right. Let's line everything up. Okay. And there's no super easy way to do this. If you can get this to line up ahead of time, but the problem is, unless you have an extended screwdriver, the only way that you can reach it, the screw head, is by compressing it. Let's see how many times this will take me. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, so that is secured on there now. We are good to go with an upgraded spring. All right. Now, one thing that I like to do that not everybody likes to do is I like to super glue this back in place. Means you're not going to really be able to replace this upgraded spring once you've got it, but I don't intend on doing that again. So we're going to do that, put a bead glue around there. Now we're also going to be waiting for that to dry. We're going to set our breech as well, just because we're going to be doing a little bit of glue on there also. So the way that this works is your internal piece is going to slot into the red part, and I like to line it up because they do have a slot right on the top of the plunger, or plunger housing basically, right there, and that is meant to line up with the little gap that's on the red piece. So if you can get that centered as much as possible, that is ideal, although not 100% necessary. So you're going to friction fit that on, and then I like to drop a bead of glue right in the little hole there and right in the hole on the bottom and let that dry. And then subsequently on the opposite side, this is going to be the part that sinks into the front of the barrel, and you're going to fit your outer housing of the brass right in there. Where you have this lined up is a little bit less delicate because there's no breech cut on this one. And then again, I like to drop a bead of glue in there and a bead of glue in there. So let's do that while we've got everything lined up. Make sure we're burr free first from the 3D prints. Everything looks pretty good to go. All right, that's pretty much it for the gluing at the moment. We're going to let all this stuff dry. I am going to put a bead on the bottom of both of these when those dry, and when everything's all dry, we will come on back and get everything started again. All right, so while we've got our glue drying on the barrels there and on the plunger head, let's go ahead and attack the actual faux barrel now, is what this is going to turn into. And the thing is, when you've got this in the knockout, there's going to be a little post right here and consequently on the other side as well too. And it's going to make it impossible to load an actual half-length dart because the barrel gets stuck and it stops right there. It's got these stops right on there on the barrel. And I don't know why they even created them there, but the channel goes all the way. It's made like it was made to have these cut out and extend the opening there. So basically what you're going to do is you can start with some flush cutters, or you can just go straight to an X-Acto, and you're basically just cutting out the unnecessary bits here. There's one side. Let's get the other side quickly. Also, I'll just say, if you don't have a pair of flush cutters, I highly recommend getting them. They take a lot of the trouble out of doing some detail work like this. You really just get in there and hack, and then you can go ahead with the X-Acto and kind of clean things up afterward, but it just makes the initial cuts a lot easier. And there are several different kinds out there. They're all good. The thing to know about a flush cutter is you're going to go through them, so only use them while they're still cutting stuff like butter, and then as soon as they're not, just go ahead and get rid of them and get a new set. They're only like $10. And that's like from Home Depot, $10. I'm sure on Amazon they are far cheaper. That being said, I know there are some crazy expensive ones too. So, you know, whatever you like, go with that. We're almost done with this side. And you just want to make it as smooth as possible, but it's not the end of the world if there's still some burrs in there. It'll still follow forward. And this side's just coming off in one giant piece. There it goes. There it goes. I'm just going to trim a little more of this down. And also, this is one of the rare cases where you don't really have to worry about cutting in too deep, because this is after you get the brass breech in there. All it is this is a faux barrel at that point, so it's not holding any pressure. All right, that looks pretty good, and the way you can test that is lining it up, and that's a little rugged on that one side. I'm going to clean that up just a little bit there. That's the part. There we go, like butter. Just gonna clean up a little bit on this edge. By this time, you guys are all saying, well, you mentioned safety goggles, but you're not wearing any. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm not wearing any. You don't need to, but it's always good to have them. All right. So that looks good. Perfect. All right. I guess we can install the spring upgrade for the catch here, or for the faux barrel, rather. And that's as simple as looping that on, and then we're going to set this in place, and we are good to go there. So that's about it for now. Let's go ahead and look at our barrels now that they're all glued up. Let's clean this up a little bit and get to putting everything back together. All right. All right, so now that we've got the barrel extension in the way that we need it, so that it can slide properly. We've got the spring in place. I guess the next thing to do is to actually button up the plunger tube here. Again, want to get in there and see what you can do to clean things out real quickly while you've got nothing in there. Always a good idea just to get in there and scrape some excess out. Just smooth things down a little bit. Make it pretty, you know. Things of that nature. if you are looking for some great internals and what some of the some high-res images of what this the internals look like and what this looks like with the AR removed, go check out Blaster Hub. Brian's done an amazing job, Buff Daddy over there. So check that out. They've got all the images that you're going to want and need for references there, and how locks go and how things are set up and whatnot. So super simple. The only thing we're going to do is bust out some of the silicone lube that AK provided us, because it's always good to add some slidey to everything. So we're just going to put that on there. Super generous. Because why not? We've got it. Let's use it. Seal up that plunger nicely as well with all that on there. Load some up on top, because this thing came pretty well lubed. Hands are pretty gross taking it all apart, but let's just make sure that we've got everything slipping and sliding. All right. We will connect, and this is the pain in the butt part here, because you got to get all 4 clips to engage. All right. Looks like we are successful. Got a little lubrication sticking out on the bottom there, so we'll wipe that away. And yeah, we are good to go. Plunger assembly is rocking and rolling. Okay, let's seal that mess up. We can set that aside. We don't need the box anymore. Now we can install our barrels, and that is super simple, beyond stupid. In the plunger housing, you're going to have a little slot notch right up there, and like I said, when you're lining up a 3D printed part onto the breech here, you do have a notch there. You're going to want to try and line those up as much as possible, because it just makes things a bit easier when you friction fit everything in place here. And that's it. It is in. Now, I myself, when we're done filming, I'm going to throw a little bead of super glue right on the top and right on the bottom, just to secure it a little bit extra. Because I like to do that, but it's not necessary. These are friction fitted in there quite well, and especially now that you've got the barrel mated to the 3D part with the glue, you're good to go. As far as the faux barrel goes, you just load the brass in, and they do have these notches on here as well, but these ones, there's nothing really to line them up for. You can remove the hop-up tab, but there's also no need to do that. I think it actually kind of seats nicely and gives it a little bit of extra push in there. I lost my spring. There we go. Spring found. Spring found. No worries. Anyway, so, or I guess we do remove the hop-up tab, actually. So I'm going to find my pliers, which are right in front of me, of course. We're going to just rip that out, if we can get a grip on it. You know, we're just going to cut it out with the hobby knife here. And that's gone. All right, clear out everything. Now we got a nice solid fit. This, again, you are going to want to slap a little glue on there to dry that out. But in essence, that is pretty much it. A big thing to keep in mind before you glue anything on here, line up these barrels, then add your glue. This kit is not printed 100% perfect, and occasionally, now that I've done 3 of these, this will mount at slightly off angle, and it won't want to slide on properly. So test this fit first before you lock anything in place. Keep that in mind. But that is essentially it. And then we're going to button everything up. We lay everything back in place, and we're pretty much done. So I do want to glue this in place first, and then we're going to continue, just because this one is a little bit loose. The other 2 didn't pop out so easily. They were just friction fitted and fine, but this one's a little bit looser. So I am going to glue this one in place, and then we will finish up everything as soon as that is all dry. So we will see everybody shortly. All right, well, the glue is all dried and we are good to go. Slides super smoothly, which is really quite nice. Definitely recommend lubing up the barrels here. I've been using WD-40 and it really helps. But that's about it. So let's button this guy back up and put it all back together. Just going to re-spring that. Also, the spring is going to catch on the first pin right in the middle of the blaster, so there's no confusion there. It doesn't go on the back when it goes on the front pin. If I can keep that together. There we go. All right. So you are going to have a couple of things that are going to be kind of not so easy to put back together, because this system is under pressure all the time. Even though it's a little bit, it's constantly got some compression on the spring. So keep that in mind. And this little tab, you do want the arrow pointing towards the front of the handle. So keep that in mind as well. You're going to let that click in, and you want this to engage. Everything set up the way it is. Like I said, if you need some photos for reference, check out Blaster Hub. They're great. Put that in. I'm going to realign that. Grab the second half of the shell. Put everything back together nicely. Well, something is not fitting quite right. But I'll just give it a go and button it up, see if it wants to close for us. There we go, yeah. Everything is closing up, so we're going to work our way around the horn here. Just know too, if this is your first time opening some stuff up, you do not need to re-screw like it's the end of the world when you're putting these things back together. Get them in and just give it a snug little twist. When it gets snug, you're good to go. These things are not, you know, holding down decks and whatnot, or any heavy construction. I believe that should be the last screw. All right, that works phenomenally. I love it. And let's give it a test. Oop. We did not do something right because it is not catching. Yeah, I think we got a full vacuum load on that one too, so we're going to need to fully get this guy taken apart and see why it's not catching, and we will come right back. All right, so we got the blaster back open and figured out immediately what the problem was. There is a white pin underneath the trigger assembly here, which is all part of the catch, and it had slipped and come out. One of the big things that you have to keep in mind, and I totally forgot to go over this on the first time around, this little tab and this tab are important, but you have to install this piece first, and this part, this L, has to slip underneath the white piece right there, little plastic piece. It's just a simple plastic piece inside of a spring, but it's got a catch on that, and it's important because that is what helps the trigger release the catch. So that has to bounce nicely on its spring. We insert this little guy right in there. Ooh, if I can get it right. Let's do that one more time correctly. So we're going to install the trigger release, and we're going to put that piece in right there, and let's button it up, and this should be good to go this time around, I hope, everyone. Yeah, that snaps together much smoother than the first time. Alright, so let's one more time go around the horn here and screw everything in. One quick thing I will say, and this was in an old Captain Xaver video that I watched. I love to highlight this point when you're modding. Back screwing when you're screwing stuff in. He highlighted this. You just screw back until you feel it catch, and then you move forward. And that's when the screw has initially, from its factory seal, screwed into the plastic on its first port, and it's basically the initial threading, so you're capturing it correctly, and you'll hear a little click, and it's super easy to do. But I'm going to button this back up, and we'll get through that, and then we'll join you on the other side. All right. That action's working great. Let's check this, hopefully. Oh! And we got a catch. Boom! Knockout mod complete. All right. Let's take this thing out to the range, so to speak, while we're still out here at my parents' house out in quarantine, and see where we're at with our 45 paces to the fire hydrant. But this thing is ready to roll. Yeah, this is going to be... Oh yeah, this is a beast already, I can tell. This is... This was a good setup. Oh, wow. All right, we're good to go here, folks. All right, let's get out to the range, and we're going to make this happen. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody. So we're back outside, and we are all finished up with this beauty. So let's take some shots with it, and then we'll head over to the chronograph and see what we got for numbers. Now, if you remember, we're aiming all the way down for the red fire hydrant down there. Last time we were kind of at the choke point between the two grass parts there on the right and the left, which is where the rival rounds were coming in. So let's see what we can do now that we've got some worker Gen 3s and the conversion's all done with this guy. Put about 4 or 5 down the lane and see where we get. And the last one. All right, so let's go down and take a look and see where we're at. We'll bring you with here. So let's take a look. And if we're remembering, right about here is where the rival rounds all came in. So if we go a little bit further, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 13 yards. And we've got 2 of them right here, 1 there, 1 in the bush right down there. And then we go a little bit further, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're at 19 yards further, about 20 yards, and that's right where the fire hydrant is. So let's go take a look at the chronograph and get some numbers on these guys. All right, so let's take a look at some chronograph numbers, and we'll go from there. I've got 8 worker Gen 2s, and then I've got 2 cut down elite darts, just for fun. I believe a modulus one, and modulus or Doomlands maybe, with the Desolator, and then we've got the just a regular elite dart, and then some worker Gen 3s, and I got 10 of them total. So let's get some numbers and see where we're at. $141. $149. Duplicate 149. $147. $149. $153. $145. $151. And then with the lighter darts, $165. Duplicate 165. So depending on where we're at, we're anywhere from mid 140s all the way up to the mid 160s. So yeah, let's take a look at some final thoughts. All right, everybody. So basically, my final opinion on this kit from AK, I love it. I think it's super easy to install. The results are great. We're getting anywhere from the mid 140s to the mid 160s as far as FPS goes. We're also getting about 45 yards of engagement, which is plenty of space, especially if you're going to any super stock war. If you want to be sort of a light scout sniper, not carry a lot on you, basically a dump pouch with some darts and this, and you are good to go. It is a little slow on the reload time, but I'm sure you can get used to that and make that faster. We'll put links to the kit from AK down below. Don't know how easy it's going to be to get right now with everything that's going on overseas, but you should be able to get it in some time. It should be still making its way over here. It's also a great first mod if somebody wants to get into this. Inexpensive base blaster, inexpensive kit. It's putting out great numbers. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. So thanks everybody for watching. Love to see you guys come out next time. We'll also put a link down to Chicago Nerf Wars down there as well, to our Facebook group, so you can come on and join us over there, see what we've got as far as events go when we can have them. And we'd love to have you guys back next time. Thanks so much, everybody.